Welcome back to Great News WCDS episode 10. That's right, 10 episodes. We've basically been running as long as Seinfeld did at this point. We're going to start as we always do in preschool. Preschool's giving it all up and moving into the woods to become hermits. They read the book The Tell Me Tree by Gail Gibbons. They learned that you can tell how old a tree is by counting its rings. Consequently, you can also tell how many Super Bowls Tom Brady won by doing the same thing. The kiddos were asked if they were a tree, what kind of tree would they be, and here's what a few of them said. Lola said, I would be a spiky tree. My dad and I call them spider trees. Preston said, I would be an apple tree that grew green apples. And Sophia said, I would be a stick tree with mangoes, and thorns, and poison ivy. Yikes, spikes! Watch out for that tree trying to get those mangoes. Up next in junior kindergarten. JK is hard at work turning Cookies Week by Cindy Ward into Broadway's next Tony Award winner. From designing costumes to making sound effects to learning lines, the class has been busy. Costume designer Bradley says, cats can be black, white, or gray. I'm making a gray cat with black stripes. And Cora says, the kitty's got hair. Mine has ears with pink and red stripes. And of course, let us not forget that the sun disappeared for a little bit on Monday. The eclipse. Up next in SK, Senior Kindergarten Take a Walk, specifically a walk to Lindsley. SK visited the Advanced Ceramics class at Lindsley to learn from their ceramics instructor, Mr. Hepburn. Each student first drew a famous structure from around the world. They then traced it onto a slab of clay. It was then cut out and details were added. The Lindsley students will then attach it to a homemade box, fire them, and turn them into piggy banks. Look for their finished ceramics pieces on Etsy. And of course, the eclipse. Up next in first grade. No, that's not the stuff of nightmares. That's just first grade celebrating their hard work with a monster dance party. I'm legally required to mention that no Monster energy drinks were consumed during the party. They also created fraction pizzas. They used their knowledge of fractions to create unique pizzas with a number of different toppings, and they were then able to present their pizzas to the class. Yum-ish. And of course, the eclipse. And coming up next, we have second grade. The garden deep dive is in full swing. Second grade took a nature walk, looking for all different kinds of seeds, talking about how they spread. Also, they are asking for any and all garden advice. If you have any good gardening advice, please write it on the back of a $10 or $20 bill and put them in my mailbox, and I will be sure to pass it along. And of course, the eclipse. Coming up next is third grade. In their geology deep dive, third almost felt the earth move under their feet as they discussed tectonic plates. Students created cardboard models of landscapes, cut them into pieces, and simulated earth movement. They also deflated a balloon covered in wet paper towel to show how many mountains and valleys are formed. This serves to confirm my long-held suspicion that we live on a giant balloon. And of course, the eclipse. Up next in fourth grade. Fourth grade was excited to welcome our friends from Attack Theater on Wednesday morning. They spent the morning learning and moving with Mr. Peter and his group. The students did very well with moving through moments of feeling self-conscious and uncomfortable, like just now when I messed up that word. And by the end of their Attack Theater class, they were having a blast. Their performance will be Thursday, May 16th, so mark your calendars. Their field trip to Wheeling Park for the symphony was canceled, so to make up for it, they watched the movie Beethoven, which is an educational and informative documentary chronicling the life of Ludwig von Beethoven, and definitely not about the antics of a large St. Bernard, right? Right? Okay. And of course, the eclipse. In fifth grade. On Wednesday, fifth grade ventured with sixth and seventh grade to Pittsburgh to the Carnegie Museum of Art and Natural History. Once in the museum, the students were given a tour where they were able to observe and reflect on famous pieces by Vincent van Gogh and Claude Monet. They then tested their art skills with watercolors after a brief lesson taught by the art educators at Carnegie before they made the trek back to main campus. Here, Jaden shows the class the pod he was born from. Up next in our branch campus middle school, to find out what is lit in 6th grade, here's Madison Porter.
In English class with Miss McFadden, students continue to read Vanda's book, You're Never Too Young to Fight Censorship. In math class with Miss Murray, they took a look at how to solve inequalities with variables from a word problem. Wednesday and Thursday, they planned a road trip. They concluded the week by learning basic spreadsheet functions with budget planning. During science class with Miss Ferris, the recent flooding and landslides sparked a great curiosity in the students this week. Why is the water still rising? How is the crest predicted? How does the rain cause landslides? All student-driven questions led us to build our science vocabulary. They drove into saturation and completed a percolation lab to compare how dry soil absorbs water versus saturated soil. Our hearts go out to those who were impacted. Back to you, Mr. Alex.
Thanks, Maddie. With 7th grade, here's Harrison Gamble.
English class was Mr. Rouse. Students continue reading their book Legend by Mary Lou. Why does the book Legend by Mary Lou love being in Mr. Rouse's English class? Because it's the only place where being full of drama is actually a good thing. The students in pre-algebra took notes on function, domain, ranges, and coordinate planes. And science students complete the challenge of planting the moon. They're about to publish their research. They will have to share their final report next week. Back to you, Mr. Tam.
Thanks, Frederick. And rounding out 8th grade, here's Ben Roberts.
Week it's been. The 8th graders have been shining through their internships, consistently leaving everyone in shock with their impressive work. The tales of their accomplishments have been thoroughly enjoyed. Shout out to Lainey for the delicious cookies. The absence of their energy on Tuesdays and Thursdays is devastating. It's just too quiet without them. Working with a local chef has proven to be an exhilarating journey for Lainey. Impressive dishes such as steak, salmon, and mashed potatoes have been expertly crafted by her. Her signature cookies constantly delight those who taste them. While there have been many experimental creations, it's sad to say there were no sharks involved in her culinary journey. Back to you, person.
Thanks, smaller person. Up next is our kind kid shout out! We got a couple kind kids this week to recognize. Starting off from senior kindergarten, we have Ronan Kalchek and Maddie Wetmore. Ronan's teachers say he's always willing to go the extra mile to help clean up and give a big hug when needed. And for Maddie Wetmore, she's always so kind to her teachers and classmates and always does the right thing. And from 3rd grade, we have Amira Kalsum. Her teachers say she's always willing to jump in and help, even without being asked by a teacher. She's also a very hard-working student in the classroom. Well done, kind kids. Keep up the good work. And we'll end today with our words of wisdom. This week's words come from Mrs. Renee McFadden, who says, "If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen." And I guess that's a pickleball reference. We'll find out someday. Thanks, Mrs. McFadden. That does it for the news this week. Don't forget to bust out that sunscreen in the upcoming weeks. Do your skin a favor. The sun is out. Keep the great news coming, and we will see you next week.